These were the toughest, the toughest emotions that I struggled with as a child. Hi there, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for clicking on this video. Remember to subscribe and like or share in case you haven't yet. So, these are my top 10 hardest emotions that I struggled to process when I was a child. And I say this with a lot of grace. I say this to also shed light on adults, not to just think you just need to control children. You don't need to control children. You need to be there for them. I understand the stresses of an adult come. You're struggling as a parent. A parent may be struggling to also show up for their children. So, in case you see these emotions show up, find ways, healthy ways to help children process, tell them what they're experiencing, let them be able to also tell you that this is what they're experiencing so that you may know how to show up for them and show up for them in a healthy way, because children do not understand emotions as well as we do, especially how to handle the emotions that they're experiencing. Number one on the list is rejection. I struggled to understand rejection. I didn't really retaliate, but I also did, in my little mind, I remember thinking, why doesn't this person want to connect with me as a child? Why doesn't this person want to play with me? And especially if it happens in groups continuously, when many children gang up against somebody not wanting to associate with, or when you're playing with people and you find people pushing you away, or even when you're trying to connect to your caregiver and you find them pushing you away. Maybe they're pushing you away because they're tired. It could be a very reasonable reason, but as a child it is very difficult to understand rejection, and many adults still struggle with this. They think it may be a problem with them. They think it might be they're not enough, or no, sometimes there are people who are manipulative enough to pretend, right? They're pretending to reject you so that you have to keep on working to prove your worth. They can already see your worth. They've already understood your worth. It is, most of the time, it is a manipulation tactic, or rather to just be able to comfort your child when they tell you that they have been rejected or they are experiencing rejection. Or even you as a parent, you could reject your child when they are seeking for you to give them a hug or to show up for them. This is hoping that they're doing it with very genuine intentions, because they're really always seeking to connect to you as a parent. So anytime they feel that somebody has rejected them, or doesn't want to attend to them, or doesn't want to play with them, or doesn't want to, or rather, when I was experiencing that, it was a very, very hard struggle for me. So, yeah. Two that I struggled with as a child was loneliness. I can tell you for a fact, or children struggle with loneliness very terribly. Like they would rather even just play when you're there, when they know that there's an adult in the room or there's somebody to watch over them. Although most of the times there's, because of certain issue, because of certain environments, the child may not be playing in a place where you will have to be there because you need to attend to something. But when children are playing, they really do feel supported when you're just there watching. Or rather, I remember when I was a child, I really struggled with the fact that I would be playing and there wouldn't be anybody just to watch. Not even that I wanted them to play with me. It was a really hard struggle, especially if there are no other children around to play with, or probably you've gone out and there isn't much to do. You just feel lonely, or when you're in a space where adults are conversing and you're a child, the whole time you just feel like you need to play and you need to do something. Please do not be harsh on children who exhibit traits of they want to play. Children just want to play. They don't understand that sometimes you need to sit still and listen to people when they are talking. Children don't really have to do all that unless when they're in class. When they're outside, all that a child is thinking about is they need to play, and they need to play with people. They need to play where there is company. They just want to be able to play. Children struggle a lot with loneliness, and this will tie into point number three, which was boredom. I could not understand boredom. Boredom kills. Even as an adult, when you are continuously not doing anything, you'll find that you actually fall into depression. Imagine a child. If you place a child in a situation where they're supposed to just stay there and not do anything, especially with anyone, they will do they will start doing mischief, or they might actually do something that is very unhealthy or that is very detrimental to a very, not detrimental, but just something you wouldn't want a child to participate in. So I wouldn't say loneliness and boredom, but point number two, my struggle number two, or the emotion that I struggled with for number two was loneliness, and struggle number three was boredom. I remember I would literally feel like boredom was killing me from inside, and like it's something that I've still struggled with, or like doing the same or not. Because you know, boredom could also be that you do the exact same thing every single time, and there's no fun in it. Because children are always looking for the fun in something. So if you do something and you expect them to do it as if they are soldiers, as if they're supposed to obey and command, but there's no fun in something, it will create boredom in them. And if they are continuously bored by the same monotonous activities, it's going to be a struggle for them, but they cannot express it. So if you find a child is constantly just fighting you back and they don't know how to express it, or rather I didn't know how to express it, it was boredom. Children do experience boredom, all right, or very many of the same emotions that we experience even as adults. Number four was hunger. When a child is hungry, let me tell you, hunger pangs, I still experience it now sometimes, even as a student, in school. Like hunger pangs is dangerous. You feel like you're dying. Like I remember, it's like you're being stabbed in your stomach, right? Like even now I still, although I handle hunger better now as an adult. But if a child tells you they are hungry, by the time that they have verbalized it, trust me, wamevumilia to the extent at which hakuna kuvumilia tena. Because hata mimi nilijaribu. I remember moments where I would be hungry to the point of I don't even know I can eat anything. Like when you find children sometimes eating anything, it is them trying to communicate that they are hungry. Hunger was definitely a struggle for me. That is number, I forgot. Five was shame. No matter how much you're trying to discipline your child, kindly avoid using shame as a method of trying to, I mean, unless it's a severe form of they have actually performed some form of damage to other children, that could be a way you can use shame. But when it's just between you and them, you don't want your child to think that you are continuously shaming them for one, expressing themselves. Shame is a very difficult emotion, very difficult emotion for children to process. I will try to run away from shame. I remember moments when probably a teacher would even say, look at this person, they have messed themselves, and then unasimamishwa mbele ya watu, and it is so humiliating because other children will laugh at you. But shame was very difficult to process. So although now as an adult I can handle shame better because I've come to, develop emotional intelligence, but shame is a very difficult. And when a child tells you that they feel shameful, or rather when you see them being shamed, kindly hug a child that is being humiliated or being shamed. Shame is a very difficult emotion to understand, to process as a child. Number six will definitely be anger, because most of the time, yes, do children want it their way, although many people think it is, I don't know. As a child, I think children have a right to have things their way 9 times out of 10, because children don't really have a very malicious intent. They just want to play, they just want to have fun, they just want to discover things. You're an adult, you enjoy things, you understand how the environment works, you understand how resources work. Just share whatever it is that a child wants, or express it to them with kindness. You don't have to fight back a child who may be sure, even if it's your phone and you're using, just tell them, oh, let's use it together, because they really do want your attention. Even when they're using whatever it is that they want that you have, they just want the attention of being in the same space as you that you're giving attention to. So when a child is angry, because you're not giving them something, when they are angry at you for something, and they're angry for not getting their way, don't use it. Don't try and humiliate them. Don't try and shame them out of that anger. Understand that a child has good intent. 9 times out of 10, children are very innocent. So when they're angry about something, it's a need that they're trying to express, although they do not know how to express that it is anger I am feeling. It is, they cannot verbalize it. Some of them just cry, or they just have a very disturbed emotion, because anger is a very difficult emotion to process. Even right now as adults, you find that when you get angry, many people think that because they're angry they should hurt the person who's made them angry, which is not very, that does not show emotional intelligence. That means you did not develop properly, because there's a way to handle anger. You're supposed to handle anger, you're supposed to deal with the emotion because it is happening inside you, before you react, before you find a solution, before you fight, before you're able to, interact with people again. That is one of the healthiest ways to deal with anger. Not just thinking, I'm angry so I will fight back, I'm angry so I will blow up, and that's not a healthy way. So anger was definitely a very difficult emotion. When is definitely sadness is a very painful experience for children. Very painful, because as an adult at least you're able to tell yourself, I'm in pain, this is what I need, this is what I need. But when you're a child, probably you've been beaten, or just even when you discipline your children by beating them or whatever, even if it's justifiable, although some most of the times it's rarely justifiable, pain, or even another child inflicting pain on you, right? It is very important to teach children how to process pain in a very calm, in a very soothing way. Explain it to them. Don't teach your children that they deserve pain. That is a very, very evil way of teaching them of how to handle pain. Teach your children how to handle pain. Teach them how to process pain, even when they're in pain. Soothe them. When they're experiencing pain, acknowledge it, right? Acknowledge it. Children just need empathy. Empathy is not something that you should struggle to give to your child, or to give to a child. A child is innocent. Probably to adults you don't want to give them empathy all the time, but a child, they need as much empathy as possible. They are new to the world, they still don't know how to function. Definitely offer your empathy endlessly to your children. Number 8 was frustration. When something is not working for you, or was not working, right? When I'm trying to get something to work, or when, some adults tease children with maybe taking away a toy that they were playing with, because they want to see them complain, they want to see them angry, they want to see them sad, they want to see them retaliate because they're really sad about. Please give to your children so that they don't feel frustrated, so that they don't feel bored, and give them something that they actually want to play with, something that will benefit, not something that you take their toy and then you give them something that an adult will use and you think that that's funny to you. When you do that, you're mocking their innocence, and it's so bad. So frustration was definitely a very hard emotion, and I still see it with children. Children can be frustrated because they're probably in a stationary, they're not playing, they're not receiving, right? Or they're being forced to be in a place where they have to give, right? Children need to receive a lot. Children are new to the world, they're innocent beings. When they are just asking you for something, even if it's food, they're just frustrated about the fact that they don't understand why they're uncomfortable about a situation, or it's not working for them. So it will be hard for them to express this. But frustration is also an emotion that children experience, and you should have enough empathy and desire to care and attend to it with kindness. Children just need kindness, children just need empathy. Even if you're stressed, remember you're dealing with a child. Always have that in mind. Even them, they get frustrated the same way you get frustrated at them, or they can also get frustrated at you. All right. Number 10, but not the least important, but definitely an important struggle, was fear and anxiety. Yes, children experience fear and anxiety, and these adults, for some reason, who find joy in, scaring children, or exposing them to scary scenes, or just shocking them in a way that will make them be fearful, and they think it's funny. That fear accumulates in them. Fear and anxiety was very difficult. I didn't even know it's called fear and anxiety. Just remember, like, it shocks you to a state where you're scared, right? Children should not feel scared. They should feel safe. They should feel happy. They should see more innocence around them. They should experience more joy. They should experience more friendliness around them. They should experience a lot of empathy. They should not be exposed to situations or content or people that are constantly placing fear in them. Even when you're just trying to get a child to eat, it doesn't really have to happen in a way where you have to scare them into it. You don't have to scare children into anything. You can find another fun way to do it, because fear is a very difficult emotion. They even get nightmares at night. It will interfere with going to toilet, or rather it interfered with mine. I remember or rather I found myself, I used to want to close myself or hide myself in a box, because there was at some point somebody who really enjoyed scaring me. And I think children are also very, very, very innocent, right? To try and scare them all the time, it's not very adult like. It's not a mature way of dealing with children. Always remember, a baby is mature, a child is immature. Scaring them or exposing them to situations where they have to act against their fight or flight, or they have to act in their fight or flight, they should not even activate that part of them until they are grown enough to handle their own emotions. And being left out, neglect, or the sadness that comes from being left out, that is a very scary way to deal with children. Children just want to be close to people, close to safe people. They want to be involved in activities, even if activities they cannot do. They don't want to be shut out and just, I know sometimes as a parent you don't have the capacity to always be there for your child, but constantly leaving your child out and making them feel like they are a nuisance and you don't want to deal with them, and you'd rather just attend to yourself by your own space. I understand why that could be important. You could be working, but when you're continuously looking for ways to shut them out and making them deal with their own emotions, or giving a child the silent treatment, right? To a child, they interpret that as neglect. They're interpreting that as you don't appreciate them. They're interpreting that as you don't like them. They're interpreting that as something is wrong with them. They're interpreting that as they're not likable. As much as majority of the times when you're dealing with children, you just think, I just need to do this for me. That is very dangerous. It's very important to always consider a child is learning everything from you, from the adults around them. So they're thinking, if you do this to me, this is what I'm learning. If you shout at me, this is what I'm learning. If you don't include me in situations, if you're constantly shutting me out, if you don't want to play with me, if you don't want me involved in what you're doing, this is what I'm learning. If you don't want to sleep next to me, if you don't want me included in everything that you're doing, this is what I'm learning. Whatever they're learning is this. They're thinking, this is what I'm learning about myself. This is what I deserve. This is how the world should treat me. This is what I should expect from the world. That's how they interpret it, or rather, that's a lot of the ways that I would interpret a lot of things, until you grow up and you find that no, people actually like staying around people want to be involved with people. But if they have these wounds where the parent did not show up for them, and again, not talking to your children, not wanting to even tell them, there is nothing wrong with offending your child, right? What is wrong is not even wanting to acknowledge that, because your child is continuously seeking to be your friend. Your child wants to be accepted by you, wants to know that you like them, wants to know that you agree with them. So it's not bad if you actually offend them, but it's bad if you don't even want to talk to them and ask them, oh, if have I ever done anything that you felt bad? How do I make you feel? Those are very healthy questions that will help you connect with your child. As much as a lot happens in the world and maybe no one ever asks you that question, ask them to your child, because your child is not trying to manipulate you. They want to connect with you, they want to be friendly with you, they want to understand you better, and they want to understand the kind of treatment that they should be expecting, that is the healthy standard, right? Because you set the healthy standard for the child, or for any child that you're within them. If they see, if my caregiver treats me like this, then I should expect it from the world. You see? And that is why many children are broken, and they grow up into being broken adults. So let's always be ready to work on the things that we do that may hurt our children, or that maybe our caregivers did to us, but we're trying to be better parents, better caregivers. And these are not the only things. I would like you to also mention anything I have left, or anything you think people deserve to know about how to connect with children more. And